Hi, my name is Michael Grande, and I am the creator of Rockoutloud.live. Rockoutloud.live is the very first virtual music lesson platform designed by a music educator for music education. It's sort of like what Zoom is to business meetings, we are to music school educators. I want to take a moment and thank Sally and Sharon for inviting me down here, and the Curious Piano teachers for inviting me to this presentation to offer you a different alternative to Zoom if you'd like to offer an incredible audio experience with your virtual music lessons. A little bit about the platform. We started about 3.5 years ago and launched on July the 4th. And now we're in over 116 countries. We have over 4,500 music schools, universities, and educators using the platform, and host over 40,000 virtual music lessons every single week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the little presentation and all Rock Out Loud Live has to offer. Thank you. You'd have the most incredible music lesson. It was amazing. You played really well together. The student really absorbed everything you taught them. And then you say at the end of that virtual lesson, okay, I'm going to send mom and dad an email, and they're going to print it out, and that's going to be the lesson we've just done today. And you'll spend all week practicing. And I'm sure a lot of you people out there are laughing right now, because what happens? Well, mom doesn't get the email, the printer is broken, the email gets caught in spam, mom forgets to even check the email, and your student never gets the chance to practice. So what happens? A week or two goes by and you get that dreaded phone call. Yeah, little Timmy hasn't practiced at all in the past couple of weeks, so we're going to postpone these lessons until we can come back in person and visit your studio again. So then it dawned on me. I said, why is that happening? Why are kids not practicing? Well, simply because they weren't having anything to practice. So what if we can remove the parents entirely from the equation? And that's exactly what we did. We created this portal where when you log in as a coach, a teacher, an educator, you get the ability to pull up a PDF of all your music and all the lesson material right into the virtual lesson, and it shows up immediately in real time right on the screen of your student. Whether they're using a mobile device or a PC or a MacBook or a Chromebook, they get to see that lesson in real time. And we also added the ability for your student to download that virtual lesson right there on their computer. So they don't have to worry about having mom and dad print it out or sending an email. Your student gets to download that right there in that virtual lesson experience. So what more can you ask for? You have that virtual lesson is there, your student gets to see it, gets to download it, print it out, now they're able to practice. And we found that the majority of virtual lessons now have extended the life of virtual lessons simply because now the children have something to practice. So your lessons, which might have been canceled or discontinued until you get back in person, now have taken on a whole nother life. A real lesson is actually taking place. Because when you think about it, you go into a music school, you take a lesson, and what happens? You're there with the student and the teacher, and the student walks out with that lesson. This is the same exact thing, except for this time it's digital. But the student gets a chance to walk out with that virtual lesson. They can print it out, or they can have it on their mobile device. They can see it anytime they want. It's always there for them. So that was one of the challenges, how to get rid of mom and dad when it comes to a virtual music lesson, and I think we found it. So now that we've had the ability to upload PDFs of sheet music and songs, what if you have your own instructional book? I mean, I know from my own music schools, we rely heavily on our instructional books. So I decided to create a way that we can select our own PDFs from our own instructional books directly into the music experience. So if you have a virtual music lesson and you wanted to upload a PDF of page 50 of your instructional book, well, you can do that. We've made this portal so simple where you can simply select that PDF of your digital lesson, it imports it right there, and there in front of your student in real time, your digital lesson, and now your virtual lesson appears right in front of them. So you can still use your instructional books, and all that remains private. It's never part of a public database. It's all private to you and your student. So let's talk about sound for a moment. When I set out to build Rock Out Loud Live, I really wanted to focus on the audio. Unlike Zoom, that really focuses on that video experience, because after all, it's for video presentations, Rock Out Loud Live really wanted to focus on the audio, Because it's so important when you're taking a virtual music lesson to have great audio. What good is it if it's compressed? So what we first wanted to do was to make sure we would have that ability to talk over the student. So if that student is playing the wrong chords or the wrong part of the song, we don't have to wave to them like we do in Zoom to get their attention. We can simply ask them to stop playing the wrong parts because we have that ability. And that's the difference between half duplex and full duplex. Half duplex is like a walkie-talkie. You press a button, you speak, you release the button to listen. Only one person can talk at a time. But with Rockoutloud Live, we made that full duplex experience incredible. So you can talk over your student and even exchange playing at the same time, and nobody's cut off. There's no compression, there's no squashing of the sound, and it doesn't get distorted. You have that ability to do that in our Rockoutloud Live platform. In fact, Clinton Pratt and Tim Topham from Top Music, they did a great side-by-side comparison between Zoom and Rockoutloud Live. You can hear the significant difference in the audio quality when playing with Rockoutloud Live. You get that experience like you're really in the room with your teacher or your student. And it's such a clear and it's uncompressed sound, and that audio quality is so significant over a Zoom or a WebEx and a Skype that you can really hear the true tones of the piano or a guitar or a voice.
I think that just goes to show that the duplexing ability in Rockoutloud just makes that, you don't have that, because it's really tiring, isn't it? That's one of the tiring things about Zoom, I think, is always having to stop and think and wait and strain your ears to hear what's going on.
All right, let's do a final test. We're both on Ethernet. We're both on the enhanced audio recognition system of Rockoutloud. This should be pretty clear. Sounded great to me. Oh, honestly, it sounded like you were in the room next to me.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really good. Full dynamic range.
And for those who have our paid subscription to Rockoutloud Live, we offer you an audio codec, which is HD audio, which will blow your mind. It's called Enhanced Audio Recognition. This is something that we've been developing for quite some time. So our codec will know if your speakers are projecting back from the student and into the microphone. Let me explain a little bit. So if you're taking a lesson without headphones, what happens is the speakers that are listening to the teacher come out of the computer and then back into the microphone, and it causes an echo or a loop. We have developed an HD audio codec that will know when your speakers are actually listening in through your microphone, and it will detect it as well. So our ear technology, enhanced audio recognition technology, is available for paid subscribers, and it's a checkbox. So if you wanted to do a one-on-one lesson with another student and with the lowest amount of latency as possible, you would check this button and you'd connect with this HD audio. And my gosh, you got to hear what it sounds like. You can talk and it's crystal clear. You can play and it's crystal clear. In fact, the results are overwhelming. And people have just come back to me and said, what a difference that this virtual lesson experience is now that you've offered HD quality to the experience. Annotations, annotations, annotations. We all know how useful and how important it is to annotate right there in the virtual music lesson experience. Right there in beta, people were showing me how Zoom does it. Well, you share the screen, an annotations bar comes up with a pen, a couple of shapes, and you can draw on some PDFs. And I said, how can we make this better? How can we make this work for the music school owner, the music school teacher, the one who's giving that virtual music lesson? What can we do better that Zoom has not really catered to in terms of the virtual music lesson teacher? So I went back to the drawing board and came out with this amazing annotations toolbar. You'll have the ability to select a treble clef or a bass clef, and the staff comes right up, right there, inside the whiteboard. No need to share your screen. No need to select the annotations toolbar. It's all right there in your virtual music lesson, which means as you're presenting to your student, the whiteboard comes up and appears right there in front of them. You can pull up a staff and you can notate on it with musical notes. In fact, there are some teachers that now are using our whiteboard to teach the circle of fifths, which is such a great tool to use for that. So you can open up a treble clef or a staff, and you can select a sharp, and you can put the F sharp there, and you can ask your student, okay, circle of fifths, what's the next sharp? And they might say a C. No, it's a C sharp, so we'll put the C sharp in there, and you can start building the circle of fifths inside this virtual music lesson application. And you could also pull up PDFs as well of anything you like, and you can annotate it the same way you would do with Zoom, but you'd still have these virtual music tools. And the one most important thing that we've added that nobody else has added yet is the ability to download that whiteboard presentation, everything that you've annotated, right there in your music lesson experience. And remember what we said about the parents? We got to remove the parents from the equation? Well, that's exactly what we did. We have the ability, and your student has the ability to download that annotation right there in the virtual music lesson, so they can download it, and they can print it, they can save it right onto their mobile device or their computer. These annotation toolbars and the access to this annotation toolbar is really a game changer for all these musicians who are just really looking for that tool to draw a straight line, but you don't have to worry about that. We've got you covered. Why? Because we're focusing on the virtual music lesson experience. We're not focusing on the boardroom. That's really, really important. So let's talk about some of the other cool tools that you have in Rockoutloud Live. We have this feature where it allows you to do song searches of songs in the public domain. So if you're teaching piano and you wanted to pull up For Elise, well, you don't have to go rummaging through any of these archives and pull up any music lessons. We have a song search that has up to 15 terabytes of sheet music that you have access to in a paid subscription, where you can literally put in a song like For Elise and it comes right up and it appears right there in your student's portal. Lots of times people take advantage of this tool. For example, if you didn't know how to play For Elise, you can spend, 10, 15 minutes looking for the sheet music and then learning it and then teaching it to your student. But we've taken all that time out of the equation. You simply do a search, it pulls it up, the sheet music is there, and you and your student are learning it within seconds, not minutes. And we found that that was really valuable because parents saw, well, you know what? We're spending 10 minutes having the teacher learn how to play For Elise, where that 10 minutes, my student or my son or my daughter, they're really not learning anything. They're watching you figure it out, but you don't have to worry about that anymore. You do the song search, the song comes up, it appears in front of you and in front of your student in seconds. And right there, you're already learning For Elise. We also included things like chords. So you can pull up chords, and by selecting a chord right there in the application, it appears in front of your student. I'll give you an example. If you were teaching a chord progression of 1, 4, 5, C major, F major, G major, for example, you can pull up a C, F, and a G chord, and it appears right there in front of your student. You don't have to worry about playing it and putting a camera over your fingers and showing them where to play a C, E, and a G, and an F, A, and a C. You don't have to do that anymore. You simply select the C, and the C chord appears right there in front of your student in real time. So these resources really get the most out of your 30-minute, 1 hour, or 45-minute virtual music class. So I just want to make one more point, and I think this is the point that we all feel very strongly about here at Rockoutloud Live, and you might agree, is that we just can't lose sight of just one thing. That we're not doing this for us. We're not doing this for the music schools and the teachers. We're doing this to really provide our students the ultimate virtual music lesson experience. This is like a virtual music stand right here for your students, so they can see and interact and really be part of that lesson as if they were really there, face to face. Because at the end of the day, if that student really doesn't get anything out of the lesson, well, what's the point? And we're here to just make that the most incredible virtual music lesson that you've ever experienced for your student. So I know a lot of folks recognize Zoom with board meetings now, education, whether it's math or social studies, but it's not as exciting anymore where you have something like Rockoutloud Live. I mean, when you ask a student, hey, are you ready to rock out loud? I think that's so much more exciting than, hey, let's get on a Zoom call and do a piano lesson. To me, that's not fun. It's like, hey, you ready to rock out loud? We'll get them inspired, and that's what it's all about. Remember, it's all about the students. And thank you so much for joining me, and it's been a privilege to be part of this presentation. And really, I honor you for actually coming here and viewing these things, and it's all about that experience and getting that ultimate lesson for your students, because that's what it's all about. Thanks so much, and if you want to learn more about us, visit rockoutloud.live, and you could hit us up there. We'd be happy to walk you through a demo. You can schedule a demo there, and if you want, you can visit ikilledzoom.com. You can get a great audio comparison there, and there's also a virtual demo you can book for yourselves if you need, or your students. You can book a demo, and I'll be on that demo, and I'll walk you through the entire platform just to make sure you're comfortable, because that's what it's all about, right? Technical support and the ultimate virtual music lesson experience. Thank you so much.